Hare Krishna, welcome. Welcome to the SanDiego Hare Krishna Temple, and happy Mother's Day to all. We are in for a treat tonight. We have our speaker tonight is Nirantara Prabhu from Los Angeles. He is always a big hit. He always gives a wonderful and engaging class. So before I turn it over to him, this is the interactive portion. Please reach into your purse, your back pocket, or your jacket and pull out your cell phone. Turn it off, please. No beeps, no dings. Either silence it or turn it off, please. We really appreciate that. Nirantara Prabhu is a disciple of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. He has been a devotee for many, many years. I was fortunate to get to know him many years ago in Los Angeles, which he has probably forgotten. But anyway, he gives a wonderful class, and so I will turn it over to him. Thank you very much.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Ram, Hare Hare. Welcome, everybody. I was here just 2 weeks ago, so I hope you're not disappointed that it's me again. I received a nice email from my well-wishing senior godbrother, His Holiness Badri Narayan Swami, contents of which are confidential, but I promised him that I would dedicate tonight's class for him. I would request all of you to please, let's bless our local GBC. Please repeat, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Balaram gave me a little leeway today. Last night, I did a program in an Hindu temple, and they requested I speak about Mother's Day. So I explained that there are 7 Vedic mothers. Then I went on to explain actually there's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That there are so many Vedic mothers. But here in this temple, don't get puffed up. You are on a higher platform. So I can do a topic that is at your level if I get your permission. If you agree, say, Jai Srila Prabhupada. So in my preparation for yesterday's class, I stumbled upon a wonderful article from the Back to Godhead magazine in 1970 by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our loving spiritual father. And by the way, in case you don't want to come next month, I'm coming back on Father's Day. So I'm giving you a heads up. If you've had enough of me, which even my wife sometimes says, I love you, but I'll be back on Father's Day, thanks to my very well-wishing friend Balaram. Thank you, Balaram, for liking me. It is my great benefit that you do that. So this article by Srila Prabhupada, I tried to find out because a lot of the small books, Dravida can testify, is based on Prabhupada's lectures. Am I right, Dravida Das? Yeah. But I could not find what this article is based on. So I can, hate to use the word, assume that it was a specific essay that Prabhupada wrote, because I could not find any reference to it in any of the lectures. The title of this wonderful article is called The Highest Love, because Balaram said he gave me a couple of options, so he used the L word, love. So I stumbled upon this, and as soon as I saw it, I went, wow, be perfect for ISKCON SanDiego. If you're ready to proceed, please repeat, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I've broken it out into 7 different sections. This first section is called the perfectional stage of life. So since it's a reading, it's going to be a little harder for you, but I will try to do this reading in what I call dramatic style. I will try to do it so that it is pleasing to your ears and heart. Srila Prabhupada begins, if one protects the tender creeper of devotional service nicely, then gradually it will produce the fruit of unalloyed love for God. Unalloyed love for God means love that is not tinged by desire for material benefit or for mere philosophical understanding, nor for fruitive results. Unalloyed love is to know God is great, I am his part and parcel, and therefore he is my supreme lovable object. This consciousness is the highest perfection of human life and the ultimate aim of all methods of self-realization. So you can see why I love this. This right from the start, it's like, this is beautiful. If one reaches this point, God is my only beloved, Krishna is the only lovable object, then one's life is perfect. And when one tastes that transcendental relationship with Krishna, then one feels real happiness. The devotional creeper will then be so strongly protected that just by catching hold of it, one will be able to reach the supreme destination. If one climbs steadily up a tree, one eventually comes to the very top. Similarly, if one can achieve love of Godhead by catching that devotional creeper, there is no doubt that one will reach the transcendental abode of Krishna and will associate with Krishna personally, just as we are associating here face to face. God is not fictional or imaginary. He is as real as we are. Actually, we are under illusion. We are living as if this body were our factual self, although this body is not at all reality, but only a temporary manifestation. We dare to presume that there is no God or that he has no form. This mental speculation is due to a poor fund of knowledge. Lord Krishna and his abode exist, and one can go there, reach him, and associate with him. That is a fact. Spiritual life means to be in association with the Supreme Lord and to exist in bliss and knowledge eternally. Such eternal association means to play with Krishna, to dance with and love Krishna. Or Krishna can become your child, whatever you like. There are 5 primary relationships with Krishna: as a passive devotee, as a servant, as a friend, as a parent, and as a lover. The cows in Krishna's abode are also liberated souls. They are called Surabhi cows. There are many popular pictures showing how Krishna loves the cows, how Krishna embraces and kisses them. That passive relationship with Krishna is called Shanta. Their perfect happiness is achieved when Krishna comes and simply touches them. Other devotees are inclined to actually give service. They think, oh, Krishna wants to sit down. I will arrange a place for him. Krishna wants to eat. I will get him some nice food. And they actually make these arrangements. Other devotees play with Krishna as friends on equal terms. They do not know that Krishna is God. To them, Krishna is their lovable friend, and they cannot forget him for a moment. All day and all night, they think of Krishna. At night, when they are sleeping, they think, oh, in the morning I shall go and play with Krishna. And in the morning, they go to Krishna's house and stand by while Krishna is decorated by his mother before going out to play with his friends in the fields. There is no other activity in Krishna Loka, or Krishna's abode. There is no industry, no rushing to the office. or any such nonsense. There is sufficient milk and butter, and everyone eats plentifully. Krishna is very fond of his friends, and sometimes Krishna enjoys stealing butter for them. One can actually live in this way, and that is the perfection of existence. We should hanker for that perfectional stage of life. How many are ready to hanker for that? Very good. Krishna consciousness is the process to attain it. As long as one has even a slight attachment for this material world, one has to remain here. Uh-oh. That is very significant. I'll repeat that. But as long as one has even a slight attachment for this material world, one has to remain here. Krishna is very strict. Krishna does not allow anyone to enter into his association who has any tinge of the material conception of life. Bhakti must be free from material contamination. Do not think, I am a very learned scholar. I shall find out what is the absolute truth by mental speculation. That is nonsense. One can go on and on speculating and will never find the source of all sources. It is said in the Brahma Samhita, one can go on speculating about the absolute truth for millions and millions of years, and still it will not be relieved. One can rot in this material world as one is and go on speculating. But that is not the right process. Here is the process. Bhakti Yoga. We just heard part 1. Do you want to hear more? Yes. Some of you do. Okay. I do. And besides, I'm here for an hour, so. Okay. So part 2 is called Guru. Lord Chaitanya says that to render devotional service to Krishna is the highest perfectional stage of life. And compared to this, other things for which people are hankering in this material world are like bubbles in the ocean. Generally, people are after rewards, and therefore they become religious. They say, I am Hindu, I am Christian, I am Jew, I am Muhammadan, I am this, I am that. And therefore, I cannot change my religion. I cannot accept Krishna. So this is called religiosity, dharma. With such a materialistic sectarian idea of religion, they will rot in this material world, stuck to rituals and faith. They are under the impression that if they follow their religious principles, they will get material prosperity. Of course, if one sticks to any kind of religious faith, he or she will get facilities for material life. So why do people want this material prosperity? For sense gratification. They are thinking, I shall have a very nice wife. I shall have very good children. I shall have a very good post. I shall become president. I shall become prime minister. This is sense gratification. And when one is frustrated and has seen that to be rich or to attain the presidency cannot give one happiness, after squeezing out all the taste of sex life, when one is completely frustrated, then perhaps one takes to LSD and tries to become one with the void. But this nonsense cannot give happiness. Here is happiness. So, here, look at the altar. Here is happiness. Radha Giridhari. One must approach Krishna, otherwise it will end in LSD confusion and roaming in impersonal void concepts. People are frustrated. They must be frustrated if they do not have genuine spiritual life because a person is spiritual by nature. How can anyone be happy without Krishna? Suppose one is thrown into the ocean. How can one be happy there? That is not for us. One may be a very good swimmer, but how long will one be able to swim? Eventually one becomes tired and drowns. Similarly, we are spiritual by nature. How can we be happy in this material world? It is not possible. But men are trying to remain here, making so many temporary adjustments for survival. This patchwork is not happiness. If one really wants happiness, here is the process. One must attain love of Godhead. Unless one can love Krishna, unless one finishes with love for cats, dogs, country, nation, and society, and instead concentrates his or her love on Krishna, there is no question of happiness. Rupa Goswami has given a very nice example in this regard. There are many drugs that saturate one with ideas or hallucinations. But Rupa Goswami says that unless one tastes the final drug of love of Godhead, Krishna Prema, he or she will have to be captivated by meditation, impersonal monism, and so many other distractions. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu describes that to attain unalloyed love of Krishna, one has to execute devotional service or Krishna consciousness. One has to engage oneself exclusively in serving Krishna. The highest perfectional stage of unalloyed devotion is to be free from all material desires, all mental speculation, and all fruitive activities. The basic principle of unalloyed devotion is that one cannot maintain any desire other than to become fully Krishna conscious. Even if one knows that all other forms of God are also Krishna, one should not worship any other form, but should concentrate on the Krishna form. Krishna has many forms, but one only has to worship Krishna in his form with the flute. Does our Krishna have a flute? Yeah. Then we're right on track. Very good. One only has to worship Krishna in his form with the flute, as in the Radha Krishna deity. Simply concentrate on that form, and all mental speculation and fruitive activities will fall away. One has to cultivate Krishna consciousness favorably, and that means to execute service by which Krishna becomes satisfied. Krishna consciousness is not attained by manufacturing one's own way. I may think that I am doing something in Krishna consciousness, but who has sanctioned it? For instance, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna hesitated to fight for certain moral reasons, but Arjuna was viewing the situation from the platform of fruitive activities on which one has to enjoy or suffer the results. Arjuna was considering that if he killed his family members, Arjuna would then be subjected to many reactions. This conclusion, however, was not sanctioned by Krishna. The law of action and reaction in the material world is called karma, but devotional service transcends karma. Unalloyed love must be free of all tinges of fruitive activities or karma, and must be free from all tinges of mental speculation and material desire. That unalloyed devotional service should be favorably fixed on Krishna. Favorably means in accordance with what Krishna desires. Krishna desired that the battle of Kurukshetra take place. It was all arranged by Krishna. Arjuna was told, "You are thinking in your own way, but even if you do not fight, rest assured that because it has been arranged by Krishna, none of these warriors who are assembled here are going back to their homes. They will be killed here. It has already been arranged." God's desire is such that one cannot change it. Krishna has two qualities. Krishna can protect, and Krishna can also kill. If Krishna wants to kill someone, there is no power in the world that can protect one. And if Krishna protects someone, there is no power in the world that can kill one. Krishna's desire is supreme. Therefore, we have to dovetail our desires with Krishna's. Whatever Krishna desires, no one can make null and void, because Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Therefore, our duty is to dovetail our acts with Krishna's desire, not to manufacture an action and then declare, "I am doing this action in Krishna consciousness." We have to be very careful to ascertain whether Krishna actually wants it. Such authorized knowledge is instructed by the representative of Krishna. In our prayers of praise to the spiritual master, we are singing daily, quote, "If the spiritual master is satisfied, then God will be satisfied. And if one dissatisfies the spiritual master, then there is no way for someone to please God. Therefore, as far as possible, one has to execute the order of one's spiritual master. That will enable one to progress. That is the essence of the favorable execution of Krishna consciousness." Prabhupada now writes about himself. "In my old age, I have come to America." Prabhupada celebrated his 70th birthday on the boat coming over from India to America. 70 years old. That alone is astounding. 70 years old. Anybody here 70? Javida Prabhu. Okay. "In my old age, I have come to America, and I'm trying to teach Krishna consciousness because my spiritual master gave me an order that I must do it. It is my duty. I do not know whether I shall be a success or failure. It doesn't matter. My duty is completed if I can present before you whatever I have heard from my spiritual master." So this is a good lesson for all of us. Those of us who see ourselves as preachers, this should also be our motto. Whether I shall be a success or failure, it doesn't matter. My duty is completed if I can present before you whatever I have heard from my spiritual master. This is called the favorable execution of Krishna consciousness. Those who are actually serious should take the order of Krishna through the representative of Krishna as their entire life and soul. One who sticks to this principle is sure to progress. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke in that way, and my spiritual master used to say, "The spiritual master is the transparent via medium." For example, I can see the letters of this book very nicely through these transparent eyeglasses, without which I cannot see because my eyes are defective. Similarly, our senses are all defective. We cannot see God with these eyes. We cannot hear Hare Krishna with these ears. We cannot do anything without the via medium of the spiritual master. Just as a defective eye cannot see without the via medium of spectacles, so one cannot approach the Supreme Lord without the transparent via medium of the spiritual master. Transparent means that the via medium must be free of contamination. If it is transparent, one can see through it. Now this next section, part number 3, when I read this, I was thinking, Prabhupada is revolutionary. So right now, Prabhupada's going to blow some of your minds. So this section I have entitled Rasa. So hang on to your bead bags. In unalloyed love of Godhead, we have to engage our senses, sarvendriya, all the senses. This means that sex is also to be engaged in Krishna consciousness. The conception of God as a father or mother does not allow the engagement of one sex in the service of the Lord, because there is no sexual relationship with the father and mother. But in the conception of God as a lover, there is sexual engagement also. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave the most perfect information with our engagement with the Supreme Lord. In other religious conceptions of life, God is at the utmost taken as the father or mother. Many worshippers in India take goddess Kali to be the representation of God. Of course, that is not sanctioned, but the belief is there. And in the Christian religion, the conception of God is as a father. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informs us that one can even have sexual engagement with the Lord. Don't shoot. This is what Prabhupada says. This information is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's unique contribution. In this material world, sexual engagement is considered to be the highest engagement, the greatest pleasure, although it exists only in a perverted form. No one, however, has conceived that there can be sexual engagement in the spiritual world. There is not a single instance of such theology anywhere in the entire world. This information is given for the first time by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one's husband or as one's lover. This is possible in the worship of Radha and Krishna. But no one, especially the impersonalists, can understand Radha Krishna. The impersonalists have no idea. They cannot even conceive that God has form. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that not only does God have form, but God has sex life also. This is the highest contribution of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One can serve the Supreme Lord in various relationships, but in the material world, those relationships exist only as perverted reflections. What is our engagement in relationship to the material world? What are our ideas of society and friendship and love? They are all based on the material conception of life. In our society, someone is engaged as father or a mother to a son, and others are engaged as husband and wife, lover and beloved. There are other rasas or relationships also, such as to be engaged with another as an enemy. There are 12 different relationships, out of which 5 are predominant. The other 7 are indirect relationships, such as, for example, to be someone's enemy. There is usually a relationship between enemies, even between a murderer and the one he or she murders. As far as our relationship with Krishna is concerned, however, even if one establishes a relationship as Krishna's enemy, then one's life is successful. Last year, one of my students in SanDiego, Chile, he brought up this point. He said, you know what? I think in my next life I want to be a demon so that Krishna kills me and I get liberated. So I said, good luck trying to achieve that status. To be that kind of demon, you've got to be top-notch personality. No offense, my friend, but I don't think you're going to qualify to be that kind of a demon that Krishna kills. Better to be Krishna's humble devotee. Who agrees? Yes. Besides, the demon doesn't get the same benefit that the devotee does. The devotee gets much, much better situation. Therefore, when one engages his or her senses with Krishna, a relationship can be established in one of 12 different varieties, of which 5 varieties are direct and 7 are indirect. Next part. Krishna is equal to both devotees and demons. You're doing pretty good. I'm glad. Only I think 2 people left so far. So I told you you were advanced. I told you so. Thank you for hanging in there. When Krishna appeared in the arena of Kamsa, there were many big wrestlers prepared to kill Krishna. In fact, Krishna was invited there to be killed. Krishna's enemy, Kamsa, thought, soon Krishna and Balaram will come. We have tried for 16 years to kill them, but that boy Krishna could not be killed. But now I have invited Krishna as a guest, and when Krishna arrives, Krishna will fight with these wrestlers, and they will kill Krishna. The demoniac or atheistic people are always thinking of Krishna or God in terms of killing him. Therefore, they present their theories that God is dead. They think that if God becomes dead, then they will be free to act however they please. But as far as their actual activities are concerned, God may be dead or alive, but God's agent, the material energy, is so strong that no one can freely do any wrong. As soon as anyone does something wrong, there is immediate punishment. It does not require the presence of God. God may be dead or alive, but the material energy is sufficient to punish anyone who violates the material laws, even to the slightest degree. God has set these conditions, but foolish people do not understand. Lord Chaitanya, however, speaks of favorably engaging all the senses in the service of Krishna in pure devotional life. One should favorably engage one's senses and should do whatever Krishna wants. Yet even if one engages one's senses against the will of Krishna, but still thinks of Krishna, that is also advantageous. The demon Putana, for example, thought of killing Krishna. This story of Putana is very dear to me because it was the story of Putana that convinced me to join Prabhupada's movement. So I have great affection for that story of Putana. For example, just as the occupation of godly persons is to serve God, so the demons and atheists are always prepared to kill God. Putana thought, I shall kill Krishna. Krishna's only a child. This is another mistake of the demoniac. They think Krishna or God to be an ordinary child or man. So in this way, Putana was thinking, let me smear my breast with poison, and when the child goes to suck the milk, Krishna will die. As we study this, we see that she approached Krishna as Krishna's enemy, and yet Krishna accepted her as a friend because Krishna is so merciful. Krishna did not take the demoniac portion of her mentality, but Krishna accepted her. Every living entity is conditioned, but Krishna is not. A doctor or psychiatrist treats madmen, but he does not become mad. Sometimes a patient may become angry with the doctor or call him ill names, but the doctor is sober and simply tries to treat the patient. I personally saw that one time. Probably 1976. I had to get a boil lanced. I had to go to the doctor. So while I was waiting, the doctor was taking care of this lady. She had these big bruises on her head. And the doctor was trying to treat her, and she kept hitting him. So what Prabhupada writes here is, I have experience. I can still remember that. The lady was, as he was trying to treat her. Similarly, if someone regards Krishna as one's enemy, Krishna does not become an enemy. Putana came to poison Krishna, but Krishna took it otherwise. Krishna thought, I have sucked her breast milk, therefore she has become my mother. Krishna treated Putana as his mother, and therefore she became liberated to the same position as Krishna's real mother, Yashoda. The conclusion is that the highest perfection is to establish a favorable relationship with Krishna. But even if one engages unfavorably, Krishna is so merciful that Krishna at least gives one salvation. All the enemies killed by Krishna were immediately liberated. Two classes of men may merge into the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Those who are intentionally aspiring to merge into the impersonal Brahmajyoti may enter, and those who are enemies of Krishna and are killed by Krishna may also do so. Therefore the devotee concludes, why should I accept a condition that is offered even to God's enemies? Okay, we just got 3 more. Can you hang in there for 3 more? Good. I was told that tonight's feast is outstanding, so it's worth waiting. Okay, so this one is called Use the Senses for Krishna's Sense Action. Okay. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recommends pure devotional service. There should be no desire to fulfill one's own material desires. There should be no attempt to understand Krishna by experimental philosophy, and there should be no fruitive activities to derive material benefits from Krishna. The only desire should be to serve Krishna favorably, as Krishna desires. If Krishna wants something, then we should do it. Now this next thing Prabhupada says is so, I love this. Suppose, now this is Prabhupada, suppose I were to ask a disciple, my dear student, please give me a glass of water. It is then the disciple's duty to give me a glass of water. But if the disciple thinks, oh, Prabhupada wants a glass of water, but why not give him something better? Why not a glass of hot milk? That is not service. In the disciple's consideration, hot milk is very palatable and is better than water. Yet, because I have asked for water, the disciple has to give me water, not milk. That is favorable service. One has to understand what Krishna wants. When there is that intimate relationship, then one can serve Krishna most favorably. And as long as there is not that intimate relationship, one must take information of what Krishna wants through the transparent medium of the spiritual master. So that's twice in this article that Prabhupada has mentioned that point. We don't know how to satisfy Krishna other than what Prabhupada instructs us. That's why we study his books. That's why we study his instructions and we follow his example. Because we want to satisfy Krishna. We want to love Krishna. We want to please Krishna. But as Prabhupada has pointed out, you don't know that. You have to go through the transparent via medium, the spiritual master. And here he is in this temple. A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Prabhupada continues. A Vaishnava never thinks that he or she has a direct relationship with Krishna. Lord Chaitanya says, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, 100 times the servant of Krishna. We have to agree to become the servant of the servant of the servant. And my friends, from practical experience, that's hard. It is hard to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. But that's the process. This is the process of disciplic succession. And if one wants real transcendental love of God, then one has to adopt this process. Because people do not accept this process, they do not develop real love of God. They speak of God, but actually they do not love God. Because there is no cultivation of pure devotional service, they love dog. We may say love of God, but unless we adopt this principle, then we will have to love God, dog, not God. That is the mistake. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that if one really wants to love of God, then one has to follow the process of pure devotional service. It is not that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is speaking out of his own mental concoction. Sri Krishna Chaitanya's statements are confirmed in the Vedic scriptures, such as the Narada Pantaratra and Srimad Bhagavatam. These two books and the Bhagavad Gita are very authentic scriptures meant for devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quotes from a verse in the Narada Pantaratra. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhaktir Uchyate. This is the definition of pure devotional service. Please repeat. Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. Rishikena means by one's senses. We have to engage our senses. It is not that we engage only our minds. If someone says, I am always thinking of Krishna, that is not pure devotional service. Meditation is thinking, but no one thinks of Krishna. They think of void or something impersonal. If someone is thinking of Krishna or Narayan or Vishnu, as prescribed in the Vedic scriptures, that is real yoga. Yoga meditation means to focus one's mind upon the Supersoul. The Supersoul is representation of Krishna in the four-arm form, four-handed Narayan. Even Patanjali, an authority on the yoga system, prescribes meditation on Vishnu. But just as people are manufacturing bogus religious processes, the so-called yogis of today have manufactured their own way of thinking of something void. But the Narada Pancharatra says, please repeat, Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam. One must engage not only the mind but one's senses. Engage the senses in the service of the master of these senses. These three Sanskrit words are significant. Rishikesha, please repeat, means the Lord of the senses. So bhakti yoga means to serve with the senses the Lord of the senses. The Lord of the senses is Krishna. We should always remember that we have our senses. Oh, so far for me in this essay, Prabhupada has given us a summary, a succinct explanation of what is Krishna consciousness. This next part, I love this next part. We should always remember that we have our senses because we wanted to enjoy this material world. And therefore the Lord has given us a particular set of senses for our enjoyment. The hog has a particular type of body and senses because it wanted to enjoy eating stool. Similarly, a man has a particular type of body and senses because he wanted to enjoy something else. We have a particular set of conditioned senses with which to enjoy this material world. And this is what we have to purify. Our senses are original, but now they are covered by material desires. We have to cure ourselves and become free from such desires. When one's senses are no longer inclined toward material sense gratification, one's status is called pure devotion. From this verse of the Narada Pancharatra, we can understand that the spirit soul has original senses. However small a body it may have entered, the spirit soul is not impersonal. It has senses. Perhaps one may find a bug in one's book. It is so small, smaller than a pinpoint, but still it moves. It has all the senses. Small bacteria also move, and they have their senses. Originally, all living entities have senses. It is not that the senses have developed under certain material conditions. The atheistic theory is that under material conditions we have developed senses. That in the spiritual condition there are no senses and that we are impersonal. By logic and reason, however, that cannot be so. A minute particle of spiritual force, even if it's smaller in size than an atom, has its senses. These senses, being covered by material elements, manifest themselves in a perverted way. We have to purify the senses, and when the senses are purified, we can engage them for the pleasure of the master of the senses. Everybody say, Rishikesha. So that is the meaning of master of the, what's that name? What's that name? You learned another name of God. Krishna is the master and proprietor of the senses. Therefore, because we are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, our senses are borrowed from Krishna. They are on rental. Wow. What? I mean, this article is just amazing. They are on rental. The best thing is to use the senses for Krishna's sense satisfaction and not for our own. This is the process of pure Krishna consciousness. This one is called, there is no ambition or motive in pure Krishna consciousness. Balaram, would you give me permission to go over a little? I'd want to be able to finish. Can I get a little leeway in the time? I can go over a little, not too much. We only have 2 more sections. Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. I'll give you all a big blessing at the end. From the Srimad Bhagavatam, Lord Chaitanya gives an example of pure devotion. It is said in the Bhagavatam that Krishna is situated in everyone's heart. Therefore, just as rivers flow and their natural tendency is to reach the sea, So as soon as one hears the glory of the Lord, one's soul is at once attracted toward the Supreme Lord. This is the beginning of pure devotional service. As soon as there is the chanting vibration, let's all do it. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Immediately Krishna's paraphernalia, Krishna's name, Krishna's fame, Krishna's abode, Krishna's associates, everything, all of a sudden become manifested within because Krishna is present. This is the beginning of one's Krishna consciousness. To remember a reference to a context means that as soon as one hears a code word, one at once remembers all the information behind that code. Similarly, when our minds are attracted to Krishna and everything about Krishna, simply by hearing a little glorification of Krishna's qualities, that is the beginning of pure Krishna consciousness. Then there is no more gati or movement of the mind. It was just that way with the gopis. As soon as they heard the sound of Krishna's flute, they gave up everything. Some of them were lying down, some were working in their family affairs, some were taking care of their children, and as soon as they heard Krishna's flute, they forgot everything and rushed to Krishna. Their husbands, brothers, fathers said, "Why are you going and leaving your duty?" But they did not care. They simply left. There is no impediment and no stumbling block in that merge of the mind with Krishna. This is the beginning of pure devotion. Everybody say, Purushottama. So Purushottama means Krishna. The word Purusha means enjoyer. The conditioned living entities are false enjoyers, imitation enjoyers here in this material world. All living entities are acting as Purushas. The more exact meaning of Purusha is male. The male is considered to be the enjoyer, and the female is considered to be enjoyed. In the material world, whether one has a male or a female body, everyone has the propensity to enjoy, and therefore everyone is called Purusha. But actually, the only Purusha is the Supreme Lord. We living entities are Krishna's energy, and Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. We are not Purusha. Energies are employed for enjoyment, and we are energies, instruments of the Supreme Person. Therefore, Purushottama is the supreme transcendental person. When our pure devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead is employed, there are no impediments or stumbling blocks. That is the symptom of pure Krishna consciousness. There is no ambition or motive in pure Krishna consciousness. Every other transcendental function or mode of worship is backed up by a motive. Someone wants salvation. Someone wants material prosperity. Someone wants to go to a higher planet. Someone wants to go to Krishna Loka. These ambitions should not be there. A pure devotee has no such ambitions. A pure devotee does not even desire to go to the supreme abode of Krishna. Of course, he or she goes, but one has no desire. He or she simply wants to engage oneself fully in Krishna's service. There are different kinds of salvation. There is Salokya liberation, to live on the same planet as the Supreme Lord. The residents of the Vaikuntha planets live on the same planet as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarshti liberation means to have almost the same opulence as Narayan. Everybody say, Narayan. The liberated individual soul can appear just like Narayan with 4 hands, the 4 emblems, almost the same bodily features, the same opulence, the same ornaments, the same buildings, everything. Sarupya means to have the same form or features. Samipya means never to be far away, but always to be associated with the Supreme Lord. For example, just as we are sitting together, so one can associate with the Lord. This is called Samipya Mukti, the liberation of being nearer. Pure devotees, however, do not accept these various forms of liberation. They only want to be engaged in Krishna's service. They are not concerned with any kind of liberation. Those who are actually Krishna conscious achieve the association of the Supreme Lord, but they do not desire it. Their only ambition is to be engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The highest perfection of devotional service, or Krishna consciousness, is exhibited when a devotee refuses to accept any benediction or profit from the Supreme Lord. Prahlad Maharaj was offered whatever he liked. Prahlad only had to ask for it, but Prahlad said, "Oh my Lord, I am your eternal servant. It is my duty to serve you. So how can I accept any benefit from it? Then I would not be your servant. I would be a merchant." Prahlad replied in this way, and that is the sign of a pure person. Krishna is so kind that Krishna fulfills all the desires of a devotee, even if the devotee wants material benedictions. If at the bottom of the devotee's heart there is some desire, Krishna also fulfills that. Krishna is so kind. But the sublime position of bhakti yoga or devotional service is that a pure devotee refuses to accept the various kinds of liberation, even if offered by the Supreme Lord. If one has material desires or motives within him or herself, or for fulfillment of such desires, one engages in devotional service, the result will be that he or she will never get pure love of God. If one is thinking, I am engaged in Krishna consciousness, in Krishna's devotional service, because I want such and such opulence, that desire may be fulfilled, but one will never get such unalloyed love for Krishna as the gopis had. If one has a motive, even though he or she discharges one's devotional duty, one will still not be able to reach the stage of pure love of Godhead. Let's see how long this, yes. Are you ready to hear one last section?
Yeah. Yes.
It's okay?
Yeah.
I noticed some people are getting a little, it's hard. You've been sitting for an hour. I praise you for that. Are you enjoying so far?
Yeah.
All right, this is the last section. So I'm going to give you the benediction now. May Krishna bless you all, and may we all achieve pure love of God. All right, this is the final section. In a verse from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami says, as long as one desires some material benefit, or if even wants salvation, then one must take those ghostly representations. As long as that Maya exists within one's heart, how can one enjoy the spiritual bliss derived from pure love of Godhead? In other words, if one has material desires, or even a desire for salvation, he or she cannot attain pure love of God. Pure devotion is devoid of all desires. It is simply to render loving service for its own sake. There is a nice example in the life of Rupa Goswami. Rupa and his brother Sanatan were living separately in Vrindavan and going on with their bhajan, devotional service. Rupa was living in the forest, and so there was no facility for cooking nice food or begging from the village for a chapati to eat. Who likes chapatis? I love chapatis. I can eat chapatis every day, but unfortunately I don't get them every day. But we just heard, that's a material desire. Prabhupada once said, even if you have a desire for one rasgulla, you don't get love of God. And that's what he's been saying here. You have to become free from all desires. Yes, even samosa, pakoda. I got a long way to go. The other couple of months ago, someone asked, when did you become free from the bodily concept of life? I haven't. I still love my chapatis and pakoras and samosas. So I'm not free. But I know what I have to work towards. Rupa Goswami was the younger brother, and he thought, if I could get some foodstuffs, then I could prepare some nice dishes and offer them to Krishna and invite my elder brother. He had that desire. The next moment, a nice girl about 12 years old came and delivered an abundance of foodstuffs, milk, flour, ghee, etc. That is the Vedic system. Sometimes the householders present foodstuffs to mendicants and sages in the renounced order of life. Rupa Goswami was very glad that Krishna had sent so many things and that he could now prepare a feast. So he prepared a feast and then invited his elder brother. When Sanatan came, he was astonished. How you secured such nice things? You have prepared such a nice feast in this forest. How is it possible? So Rupa explained, oh, in the morning I desired it, and by chance Krishna sent me all these things. A nice girl came and she offered it to me. And so he was describing the girl, very nice girl. Then Sanatan said, that nice girl is Radharani. You have taken service from Radharani, Krishna's eternal consort. It is a great blunder. So this is their philosophy. They would not accept service from Krishna. They simply wanted to render service. But Krishna is so clever that Krishna also wants to serve his devotee. So is there any better God than Krishna? After hearing this, why would I want to worship anyone else? This is the best concept of God, Krishna. The devotee wants to serve Krishna, and Krishna wants to serve the devotees. Krishna looks for an opportunity to serve his devotee. This is spiritual competition. A pure devotee does not want anything from Krishna. A pure devotee simply wants to serve Krishna, and Krishna also looks for the opportunity to serve his devotee. Krishna is always as anxious to please his devotee as the devotee is to please Krishna. This is the transcendental world. On the absolute plane, there is no exploitation. Everyone wants to serve. No one wants to take service. In the transcendental world, everyone wants to give service. You want to give service to me, and I want to give service to you. This is such a nice attitude. This material world means that I want to pickpocket you, and you want to pickpocket me. That's all. This is the material world. We should try to understand it. In the material world, everyone wants to exploit one's friend, father, mother, everyone. But in the transcendental world, everyone wants to serve. Everyone has Krishna as the central point of serving. And all the devotees, either as friends or servants or parents or lovers of Krishna, all want to serve Krishna. And at the same time, Krishna also wants to serve them. This is a transcendental relationship. The main function is service. Although there is no necessity of service, for everyone is full. There is no hunger. There is no necessity of eating. But still, everyone offers nice things to eat. This is the transcendental world. Unless we attain the stage of simply serving Krishna or his devotee, we cannot relish the transcendental pleasure of service. If we have any motive, then that sense will never be awakened. Without a motive, without a desire for personal sense gratification, service should be rendered to the Supreme Lord and his devotees. We did it. Thank you, thank you, thank you, 100 times, thank you. I went over a long time. Please forgive my offenses. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and his beautiful writing, as we just heard. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nirantara. It was lovely. We're going to have a very short kirtan and then